So, on with the first story. Dinosaur brat child and his equally bratty mother tried to take my friend's bike. I'll be mostly reading it as written, but if there's any mistakes, I'll try to correct. So, on with the story. Context. I live in Thornbury, UK, in a very middle-class area. There are not many trashy people around, hence the kid and the mother are the exception. The cast. Me equals me. Duh. I'm in my teen years, but have a baby face and dress somewhat childishly. F equals friend. Same age as me, but looks a bit older. BM equals bratty mother. Comes complete with trashy jewellery and the highlights. Oh god, I actually think I know what type of mother that is. DB equals dinosaur brat. Look about 9 or 10, acted like a 6-year-old, and was wearing a dinosaur shirt. Hence the name Dinosaur Brat. So, me and my friend were hanging out on the estate. I had a scooter and she had a bike. It was a lovely, mildly overcast day. We decided to go out to the park and sit on the basket swing. So once we got there, we put our bike and scooter next to the park benches. I need to mention the park benches are not too close to the basket swing, but you could still see them from there. We were sitting on the swing, not really paying a lot of attention, when suddenly I hear my friend yell, "Hey!" I looked over and saw them running over to the benches, and this kid was holding my friend's bike and trying to put the helmet on. F. No, what are you doing? DB. Grabbing this bike. F. That's my bike. DB. No, it isn't. It was just sitting there. F. No, you idiot. Just because it's lying there doesn't mean it don't belong to anyone. DB. Legasp. I'm telling Mom you called me an idiot. Me. While you're there, also tell her you tried to steal a bike. The DB then runs off. We thought that it was the end. We sat back on the swing, with the bike and scooter right next to the swing. Actually, that's a good idea. You should have done that in the first place, but okay. But alas, about 5 minutes later, the kid comes back with his mum. PM. You too? F. Mm-hmm. PM. You said my son could ride my bike. Let him ride the bike. F. I didn't. PM. Yes, you did. My son said that you offered him, and when he tried to put on the helmet, you snatched it from the bike and called him an idiot. F. No, we didn't offer him. He just tried to take it. BM. You're lying. My son would never lie to me. Me. Well, he would, and he did. BM. How dare you? Where are your parents? Me. They're in the next town over. BM. No, they aren't. Me. Yes, they are. Fine. Me and my friend continue our day knowing that our parents don't live 2 minutes from the park. Gosh, she's crazy. Honestly, reading the story, a couple grammatical mistakes. But in general, I know the type of mother. I've seen them in the wild. They aren't the brightest. They believe their child is always telling the truth. And honestly, I don't really like parents like that. But honestly, Opie, your friend needs to invest in a bike lock. Like, next time you go to a park, or she goes anywhere, make sure she's got a bike lock, because that can actually save a lot of hassle. Trust me, I've been there. Okay, on to the next story. EP wants to steal a switch from a church. Seriously, someone's trying to steal from a church. Oh boy. Here we go. Hello, this is a second-hand story from a friend. Usual intro and stuff. I'm on mobile. My friend and I used to go to the same church. However, I left a number of years ago due to it turning into a megachurch. Wait, isn't that one of those big for-profit churches in America? I'm not sure. I'll look it up later. And stuff with the pastor's decisions not being honoured by the other big heads. Lots of controversy there, but it became a breeding ground for Karen and entitled parent mindsets. The church was split into 3 areas: kids, teens, and adults. Kids and teens were on opposite sides of the building, with the adults section in the middle. While the kids section was for young kids, you'd sometimes see them in the teen area before service, all trying to sneak in to play on the consoles they had: a Wii U, PS3, and the centre of the story, the Switch. They had 2 TVs, one for the PS3 and Switch, while the other was for the Wii U. He put Switch twice. That's a mistake. People could play them before and after service, but were turned off during service, or maybe pause mid-smash fight. It was normal for one kid, the entitled kid, EK, to go to the teen area to play on the consoles when he really shouldn't have. His entitled mum, EM, was a friend of the usual churchgoer there, but seemed to not care about the church at all. One of those, I don't go to church, really, but I'm all spiritual types. She'd wait till the last second to take him to the kids section, or didn't pick him up at all, forcing the teen workers to find her and get her to sign him into the kids section. Church by this point has ended, and EK ran his way from the kids section the moment he could to play on the Switch. According to my friend, he always claimed to be the best Fortnite player since he was playing Fortnite. No one else could be on the Switch whilst he was playing. The teen pastor was a saint. Put up with this kid for too long. The kid died in game, and the pastor asked him to go find his mum. EK started throwing a fit as he kept wanting to play, starting another game while red in the face, crying every time he was shot. When he died in game, he was straight up bawling. That's when EM finally arrived, coffee and snacks for herself in hand from the cafe, as she starts yelling at the pastor, asking what happened to her child. Everyone at this point was fed up with the kids crying, not wanting to leave on top of losing, so he takes the Switch out of the dock to keep playing when the pastor had to get involved. Hey, I know you want to play, but taking it out of the dock is not allowed. Hey, he's only playing this game, so shut it. He's been a good boy in service, so I let him do this after. Ma'am, this is not your home to say and do as you please. I'm in charge of the teen ministries, so I make and enforce the rules. EK, still yelling and screaming, for again losing at the game, beginning to use harsh swears as EM gasp. How do you know those words? EK was totally shocked. I guess not remembering his mum was right there, just saying, I don't know, before they heard him die again. The kid was persistent, to say the least. My friend found it hilarious as she tried to hold it in, just not to cause more trouble. EM, overall embarrassed by her kid's words. So she took her kid's hand and began to walk away, but the switch was still in her son's hands. The pastor trying to stop her as she pretended not to hear him, but the greeters at the front entrance stopped her when they saw the pastor trying to stop her. After another meltdown by the kid's mother, the mother gave back the switch and stormed out. My friend hadn't seen her near the teens section since, or her kid near the church at all. Honestly, I used to go to a church growing up. Kinda fell away from Christianity for personal, like very, very personal reason. But honestly, I've seen those sorts of people in churches. It's kind of, I don't particularly understand this. When you're going into a church, basically it's the same sort of, like, it's like if you're going to someone else's house, their word is law, because you're going to their territory. Plus, I like the idea that this church actually separates, like, teens from small children and keep the consoles out of the small children's area. Honestly, I've seen the amount of children that are like playing games like Fortnite. Like, the parents can raise their children however they want, but honestly, the idea that some sort of small child can play something like Fortnite and a parent won't, question it, but then get angry at the idea that a video game can be for adults. I know that didn't really happen in the story. This is just a general bug. But also the fact that she tried to, steal from a fucking church. And is one of those, spiritualistic sort that mainly go to the church for the benefits rather than, to actually worship. I'm fairly sure she is one of those that Jesus would have chased out of a temple with a whip. Just remember, if any annoying religious EP says that, oh, what would Jesus do? Remember, chasing them around with a whip is not out of the question. By the way, legal disclaimer, don't chase anyone around with a whip. Like, seriously, don't. Now, on to our third story. This is a bit of a loaded one. I'm not really going to read the title because of the way YouTube works. But basically, a mixed-race woman. Her father's not too happy with the idea that she has a white boyfriend. So, on with the story. Very loaded. This happened a long while ago. I found my biological father whilst I was in foster care. He was from the Caribbean. I grew up in Hawaii. My mum is American. She's a whole other can of beans. I would talk to him over WhatsApp, and he'd talk to me. He didn't raise me, so this is like an issue of entitlement over dating habits. He also expressed other things about how I should live my life, like eating pork is evil, and disliked the fact that I'm surrounded by evil, quote, Asians and whites all of the time, end quote. You know, normal, quote unquote, dad things. That is like being an American GI and finding your long lost baby in the Philippines and discovering that, oh my god, they don't worship George Washington and they eat dingguan. Did I pronounce that right? Dinguan. I'll look it up later. And being mad about it. I was 17 when he found me, and he expected me to be completely in line with his culture and expectation. Retracting from the story real quick. Seems to be a story of someone not expecting cultural differences and being genuinely racist. Like, I hate that. Again, like what OP said, it's like being an American GI, having a baby in the Philippines, abandoning it, and then finding out it doesn't worship George Washington, and eating whatever dingguan is. Did I pronounce that right? Probably not. Anyway, continuing. At the time, he'd send me money. That's actually nice. Which I appreciated because my foster parents would take all of the money they received from the government and only treated the Filipino foster child with any sense of care or love. If it's not obvious, foster parents were Filipino. I'll save that for the end. Me and the other non-Filipino foster children were left to fend for ourselves. Okay, that's horrible. We had a roof over our heads and some food, but that was the extent of them caring for us. We would have to buy our own supplies for school, pay for laundry, find a way to get clothes, toiletries, etc. They were openly racist. Foster parents eventually lost their license anyhow. While talking to my father, it was revealed that he was a raging narcissist, just like my mother. He'd tell grandiose tales of himself, how everyone loves him, and how I need to go back to the Caribbean ASAP to get back into my quote-unquote culture, and say how I was a black Caribbean girl. He would go on and on about culture, how I needed to go back to my culture, how I'm a pure black woman and need to go back to my culture. Whenever I said I was mixed, he said it was American cultural fusion. He was pretty racist against practically everyone who was not specifically exactly like him. Meanwhile, he wants to choose my husband, who, of course, has to be, quote-unquote, pure black, dark-skinned with dreadlocks like him. The audacity to think he has the right to select a husband for his estranged daughter who grew up in the comparatively socially progressive Hawaii. Shaking my head. At this time, I started dating this white guy, who I thought was cute, and we hit it off. Turns out we share a lot of common. Fast forward, my father kind of finding out because I casually mentioned my friend. I feel like I'm lying by withholding this information, so I come clean. My father threatened to fly Hawaii and kill my boyfriends, and called me a nasty Americanized... I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, so I'm going to say her. A sellout that no one trusts black children with white fathers? What the fuck? That race mixing is American degeneracy along with feminism and homosexuality? What is with this idiot? He disowned me and stopped talking to me. Honestly, OP, real quick, I think him not talking to you is a good thing. Like, he's still threatening you. If he is, get the police involved. Onwards. Not without a bunch of threats, calling me a dumb white girl, an American with no culture, and a sellout. My dad is great, yes. I'm so dumbfounded by this man. He has me with a white American woman and gets mad that when I was raised by her. I don't share his cultural ideals and I see myself mixed. What? Ah, here's an edit. Years have passed since then. Me and that guy I talked about are engaged and we live together in a pretty alright neighborhood with a pool and a dog. We're living pretty okay. I have had no further contact with my father. Honestly, it's good that OP no longer has contact with their father. I just... I don't understand. I literally do not understand. What is the point of being racist? It's illogical. Stupid. This quote-unquote father goes to a foreign country, has a baby with a woman that's a completely different race from him, leaves that baby in that foreign country as he fucks off back to his own. The child is taken into foster care, most likely because the if I can infer from what OP said at the beginning, that her mother wasn't really a good mother. So, yeah, and with the foster parents as well being racist, like, composure. I don't understand it. What is with people? It's not difficult. Like, humans are stupid. I'm almost ashamed to be human. Like, can we just not give a shit about the color of the skin? It's not that difficult. Like, maybe there's some medical differences. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. My specialization is in technology, not fucking biology. But when it comes to issues facing children in care, like, my sister's a children's social worker, and honestly, the shit she has to put up with, and I don't understand. What's the point of becoming a foster parent if you're not going to actually take care of, the children in your care? The fact that they only are providing actual stuff for the Filipino child because they are also Filipino makes no sense to me. They have a duty to care for all those children, and I'm glad they lost their license. Because if you're meant to be protecting someone as like a guardian or a parent, you have a duty to not just one, but all of them. Anyway, rant done. To shorten it down, racism is illogical and stupid. So, subscribe, give likes, bloody blah blah. Look at the tags. Do people look at tags? Oh, maybe I'll do a test. Comment something, like, I don't know, pointing out what the tag is, like the weird tag. Anyway, I'll try and make another video another time.